When you look at the insurance industry of India, and a lot of people keep telling me just scratch the surface, it is just begun, it is only begun. And I'm not talking about life, let's stick to health and general. Do you agree with these sentiments? What's your first take when you look at India as an opportunity in your industry? Where do you think India stands for next 2 decades as far as insurance is concerned? What are your thoughts around that? Do you foresee any barriers or roadblocks in your industry, regulatory or non-regulatory, that you were empowered to make those changes? The industry and obviously our fellow Indians availing these products would be in a better position. Your industry has come a long way in terms of making an average Indian more cognizant about the fact that insurance is not a luxury, it's a need of the hour. As a vision that by 2047, you want to make sure that there's insurance for every Indian.
Yeah.
Do you think your industry is ready to make this aspiration a reality? What are the steps that you guys are taking to make this a reality? What do you do to ensure that your stakeholder expectations are met while keeping your people's interests intact? Would your employees, would your crowd call you a people-centric leader? Your team gives you incomplete information for a decision that needs to be made on an urgent basis. In such a scenario, what would be your decision-making framework? But as a decision maker, when you go to sleep at night, do you feel satisfied that you didn't done enough? Enough for your shareholders, enough for your employees, enough for your customers? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another episode of the Sunny Shah Show. Today, we are going to talk with somebody who has played a transformative role in India's insurance sector, who spent more than 25 years of his life in driving large organizations to make next-gen insurance needs of our country. Let's welcome the Managing Director and CEO of Generali Central Insurance, Mr. Anup Rau. Anup, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks, Sunny. Appreciate it. Thank you for calling me over.
Pleasure is all mine, Anup.
Thank you.
Anup, let's start from the very beginning. We would like to know more about you. Where do you hail from? What brought you into the shoes of leading a large insurance company? Talk us more about your initial routing into this industry and the rest is history.
But to be honest, I just wanted a career in sales because I don't think I was good at doing anything else. I started working when I was 18 or whereabouts in my first year in college when I was in Delhi at Pragati Maidan. It's a large exhibition center,
Yes.
as you might be aware. So I used to work there for 100, 150 rupees a day, a couple of seasons every year, whenever there were exhibitions. I remember a prominent one was called India International Trade Fair, I think usually from 14th November to 20th November. Somehow that date sticks. And I knew I couldn't do a desk-bound job. So I was driven more by constraints of what I could not do. Stuck to sales, did an MBA, started with sales. And then I joined the insurance industry in 2000. And frankly, my first company in insurance, which was ICICI Prudential Life Insurance, I joined that because I fell in love with the building. There was no other reason. So
You fell in love with the building?
With the building. I walked in and I saw this fantastic waterfall. I saw these capsule lifts. I was like absolutely blown over. Mind you, a quarter of century back, it wasn't commonplace in India.
True.
Right? Those kind of buildings, they were really grand, different level. And obviously, the process went well.
Right.
My interviewer was somebody who had played cricket for Australia. So thankfully, the conversation was on cricket. And I was also a bit of a cricket nutcase. So he didn't ask me too many questions about why I was the right fit. It was on cricket, and I guess that's why I got hired. But if you want me to give you an elegant story of what I did to plan my life, my career, I honestly don't have one.
Good. So insurance happened to you.
It just happened. And I'm glad it happened.
And then you fell in love with the industry and you continued to stride. So what happened after ICICI?
So I was there for a decade. It did lay the foundation for me. Then I worked with a couple of other organizations. I was the CEO of a life insurance company, Reliance Nippon. And then I've been in GI for the last 9 years and about almost 6.5 years now with Generali Central.
Heading this chair for your organization, I feel that you belong to an industry where you have a moral responsibility towards your customers, and I'm sure you would agree to that. I speak with a lot of CXOs from the healthcare industry, and I tell this to them all the time. And I think you guys are no different. What I wanted to know from you, for our audience's sake, is what are those key traits that you found in this journey of leading an organization such as yours that are important to successfully have an empathy-led leadership? So while your numbers, your revenues, your growth story is pivotal for any CEO, no different to you.
Sure.
But in this journey, you also keep customers in front. You also have that centricity and empathy towards your consumers.
So I would say that you need to have empathy for other people generally. I think it's important. I think you should be able to put yourself in the shoes of your shareholders, your channel partners, your employees, and your customers. I always believe that there are four stakeholders. It's somebody who's put in capital deserves a fair return.
Yep.
Right? Your employees need a safe, secure environment where they can give their best every day and they can grow. Your distribution partnerships have to be genuine partnerships. They can't be coercive at either end. It has to be genuine partnership to deliver value in the marketplace. And obviously the customers. My personal philosophy is that in case you treat the employees well, they will deal with every other stakeholder fairly. So our entire proposition has to create an enabling environment for the employees to do well, give them a safe, secure environment, an enabling environment where they can grow. And I think the rest will take care of itself. That's my personal feeling.
And the company that you currently work for, Generali Central, you guys have gone through a recent rebranding. I feel I researched more about your organization, and when I look at you with your peers, right, you sound next gen. You sound more Gen Z. Is that by design, Anup? Is that something that you guys are positioning yourself in the brand for as a brand, or that's something that you are and it's coming up to it?
I think it's something which has happened organically, to be honest. Look, the thing is that 70% of India is below 35. But people who make decisions within organizations are older than that, much older than that. So at the first level, there's a significant amount of disconnect that you're providing to a marketplace you're not a part of, simply because you're in a different bracket. I think we genuinely listen to people. I think our strategies come bottom up, and we want to solve real problems. And if I want to talk about it, for instance, in India, for the LGBTQIA plus community, opening a bank account, being able to take a house on rent, all these things are a problem. Now, this can't be a privilege, right? This has to be something which a society has to offer. So one of the things people in the company said that, that why should we offer insurance to same-sex couples or even live-in partners? Because really, and I don't think it's a big deal. I think it's the least we can do for people, if you ask me.
Absolutely.
Secondly, we wanted to create an environment where people from the LGBTQIA plus community can feel at home. They can come out at work because they want to. They have a secure place, etc. It's estimated that about 8% of India's population from the queer community. And frankly, in case you have diverse opinions in the organization, you will build better for the marketplace, right? When it comes to diversibility of people with disabilities, 1% of our employees are disabled. So, and that was a very conscious call because we felt that, that organizations don't really take the risk. I wouldn't say all, but then I think one of my proudest moments was when we were called to Rashtrapati Bhavan for felicitation because they recognized what we did for the differently abled. We were the first company to cover mental wellness in a health insurance policy because, again, we thought it was a good thing to do. Because it's again estimated that 1 in 5 Indians has some kind of mental wellness challenges. So I just think it's the right thing to do. And honesty doesn't mean if you're doing the right thing, it is not viable from a commercial point of view. I think every solution has to work for all stakeholders, like I mentioned, all the four of us. And it was just about doing the right thing. And then I think I was lucky to get the right guidance from people from the rank and file and people down the line.
We'll talk about the guidance but one important thing while you're talking about the differentiators that stood out to me is you're a dog parent yourself.
Yeah.
I think you guys do dog insurances.
Yes,
Can you tell more about that, please?
Dog insurance I can take credit for. That was a bit of a passion project for me. So, I mean, the fact is that there is dog insurance which exists as a by the way product.
Hmm.
I don't think people have really put energy or effort behind it to actually, put it out in the marketplace and make it accessible for dog parents. So, we put a lot of energy behind it. We ran a fantastic Twitter campaign. We got Ashwin and Rohit Sharma and Harsha Bhogle. There are a lot of celebrities tweeting. Uh, that for me was a passion project, to be honest. I mean, my current dog, who was a Rajapalya, was my fifth dog. So I've always grown up with dogs around me.
Excellent. And see, the small strides from a leader can make significant impact at a vast scale. And this is a great example of what you just mentioned.
See, I mean, I think 19 out of 100 things, I'm not saying it to sound modest. Where I can take credit is that I'm able to process that information and take that feedback. But honestly, the credit for the ideas go to the people. I think all the product ideas, almost all of them have come from the teams. It's not come from, I mean, and they can't. I mean, it's a 3,500 member organization. I mean, there's no way that I can do the thinking for all of them.
We spoke about your journey. 25 years is a long time being in this industry. That makes you an encyclopedia in itself.
I'm not sure about that, but anyways.
But I wanted to see if we can reflect back upon any role models that you had in this journey that has really helped shaped up you as a leader within the group, whether within the broader insurance industry or within the group that you belong.
So I think I've been very lucky. I think I've had a string of fantastic bosses, one after the other. And I think that was obviously pivotal in my life. I think I was also lucky to have leaders who were deeply emotionally invested in my group, making sure that I succeed. It's something I have tried to imbibe from them and then practice that as a leader. More than anything, that I worked with organizations which were meritocratic, which gave opportunities for growth engagement.
Mhm.
And that was, again, I mean, if I go back 25 years back, it wasn't that common. That you joined at a particular grade, and in case you didn't come from a particular pedigree, your growth would get limited despite performance. And that thankfully has changed in India. So honestly, the environment, the individuals, and a string of them, I mean, I can't really name one or two. I think they made a lot of difference to my life and career.
And hypothetically, if you had a time machine, if you were to go back in time and change one thing that happened to you in your career, would that be something?
So not my career, Sunny, but maybe I would have treated my body with more respect in my 20s and 30s. I try and treat it with more respect today. But then I think I did abuse my body. And it doesn't seem like abuse then because your body can tolerate a lot. I mean, can tolerate a lot of abuse, can do with very little recovery time, lesser sleep. I think that is something which I would change. I wish I'd changed.
Do you think health consciousness, since you touched on that topic, right, as you stepped up the ladders and as you entered into the top role, do you think that made you realize that for the role that you are into, health is an integral part of your success? Is that when the realization happens, when people reach the top? Or is that something that's been a personal realization all this while?
I think you're conscious about it because then you suddenly realize that in case you're getting the 5:25 a.m. flight to Cochin and then you're coming back the same night and then getting to office 8:30 the next day, I think over a period of time you're unable to do it.
Right.
And it's a real story because when I was looking after what was in my organization called Peninsular India, which was Western South, I mean, I would take the early morning jet West flight, come back the same day, go to work. I mean, it didn't bother me. I could sleep anywhere. And suddenly the body doesn't really cooperate. Even if you're really tired, you sometimes struggle to sleep. The things you take for granted when you're younger, they don't come to you so easily. And that's when you realize that you should have probably taken care of your body well. And obviously you also don't process that abuse of excess of whatever you imbibe very well as you grow older. I think I can't remember who said it, but somebody said that strength is wasted on the young and wisdom on the old. I think it's a classic case of that, really, Sunny, if you ask me.
Interesting. Let's move into the macro side of things, right? I would like to extract enough value from the experience that you had in this industry, from starting as a salesperson to now leading a large organization such as yours. But let's talk India first. When you look at the insurance industry of India, and a lot of people keep telling me just scratch the surface. It is just begun. It is only begun. And I'm not talking about life. Let's stick to health and general. Do you agree with these sentiments? What's your first take when you look at India as an opportunity in your industry? Where do you think India stands for next 2 decades as far as insurance is concerned? What are your thoughts around that?
So I think if you pick up any product category, I think you'll find penetration in India to be very low. That is true of clothes, it's true of automobiles, it's true of insurance, it's true of even services like number of doctors per 10,000 people. It's true of almost everything, and insurance is one of them. But I'll tell you why insurance is important. The point is that insurance kickstarts the capex cycle. So if somebody is becoming an entrepreneur, making investments, hiring people, the first thing she or he needs to do is to buy insurance because somewhere it secures whatever investments you have made. And it's a peculiar product. See, insurance is both a beneficiary of growth and also a driver of growth. So, since you spoke about macros, the fact is that the economy is growing, insurance as a percentage of that could grow, and of a larger economy, even the same percentage means there's growth, right, Sunny?
Correct.
The other is obviously it also kickstarts growth. It kickstarts the capex cycle. So I think from both perspectives, in terms of the opportunity we have as a country and the fact that what insurance can do to kickstart the capex cycle, I think there's plenty of opportunity. Finally, when you talk about health, I think the realization has to dawn on people that whatever wealth is being created with you or me as the asset. Now you got to respect that asset fundamentally and then invest in it.
Agreed.
And I think that's also inadequate currently. I mean, if people are covered, they are covered for very low sum insured. The fact is, medical inflation is real. The hospital bills are extremely high.
Correct.
And the fact is that the cost arbitrage we have in terms of both premiums and medical treatment compared to the West, that arbitrage is so wide today, some of it is going to start shrinking. So medical inflation is going to be a reality. So I think both from a common sense perspective in terms of awareness spreading and people buying insurance and in terms of the larger macro, as you put it, I think there's definitely an opportunity.
Do you foresee any barriers or roadblocks in your industry, regulatory or non-regulatory, that if you were empowered to make those changes, the industry and obviously our fellow Indians availing these products would be in a better position?
I think a couple of things the government has done. For example, one of the things which I had spoken about earlier was that GST on insurance should be taken off. So if taken off on certain products, and my view was that instead of trying to generate revenue through that, it's better that you're on the side of the customer and bat aggressively for the customer and let the private sector do its job of providing services, because the government can't be in every sphere. It just stretches the government, and over a period of time, the government doesn't have the ability to, offer goods and services to the populace efficiently. It's a model problem. I mean, it's like going back to state control and then delivering services. I mean, it's not the best use of government resources and machinery. In that same spirit, I do believe that deregulation, to the extent that you put in a lot of compliance norms and make sure that you actively have advocacy and protection for the customer. But beyond that, I think you should free everything up. Which again, and to be fair to our regulator, they have done that over time. For example, they've moved to products being used and filed, for example. That control, overarching control, for example, has gone away. But there could be more opportunities wherein you delegate more and more compliances to the companies, make sure they're financially solvent, make sure the customer is protected, and everything else, the bandwidth gets released so that you can very aggressively monitor those things. I think the last thing is that if I were to speak on behalf of any regulator in India, I think they do have a challenge of capacity too. I think they're woefully understaffed.
Okay.
I think in popular narrative, we look at government services or institutions are being not very efficient. But if you look at their staffing strength vis-a-vis what they have to deliver, and you compare that even to the private sector, you find that they really are inadequately staffed.
It's a capacity issue that
It's a capacity issue. Now, for example, I mean, moving away from insurance, you look at, for example, the number of people in China. I don't remember the numbers now, but then I think it's an order of magnitude of 10 or 15x the number of foreign service officers they have compared to India.
Mm-hmm.
Now, somewhere in case as a country you want to influence foreign policy, or you want to get your narrative out there, I mean, you have an Indian official doing the job of, 20 Chinese or 15 Chinese. So I think there's a huge capacity issue there, which the government will have to address at some stage. And I think it will pay for itself, Sunny. That's what I mean, because better ability to monitor and govern will lead to better outcomes for all stakeholders.
Your industry has come a long way in terms of making an average Indian more cognizant about the fact that insurance is not a luxury, it's a need of the hour. However, the penetration, like we all know, the numbers suggest, has also not been that significant, and there's a great opportunity. Where do you rate our industry and companies such as yours when it comes to creating more and more awareness in the larger population when it comes to the importance of insurance as a product? We see mutual funds sahi hai, and it's kind of knocking, the big boys are talking about it all the time. When it comes to insurance, do you think you've done enough? Do you think there's a room to do more? How would you rate this?
So I'll answer the second question first. The thing is that, both the General Insurance Council and the Life Insurance Council have started campaigns. So our campaign is Acha Kiya Insurance Liya. Life Insurance has got Sabse Pehle Life Insurance. They're on air for the last few months, and there's been visibility and there's been some conversation around it. Regarding how well the industry has done, yes, if you look at the penetration numbers in terms of premiums, that general insurance is about 1%, life, if I remember right, last was about 3.4%. The numbers don't look great, and compared to where it is in the rest of the world, will not look great. But in my opinion, that's the wrong way to look at it.
Okay.
Now, in case you look at the India's population growth between 2013 and 2023, it's been about 11%. In the same period, the number of new policies sold have tripled. Now, what's really happened is that policy premiums have gotten cheaper and cheaper for the customer. In adjusted for inflation terms, absolute terms, and also the percentage of their disposable income in both areas. And obviously, both are linked. Now, in case you look at third-party liability insurance, there's been virtually no price revision for 5 years. Look at term insurance. This will surprise you, Sunny, but then what I paid for a 5-4 cover in 2005 is the same I paid in 2020.
Wow. So disregarding inflation completely.
And I was 15 years older than you. So
it has become more affordable.
It's become more affordable. Now, premiums don't really reflect coverage. What you have to look at is the number of people who are covered and the extent of the coverage, the extent of sum insured. If you look at crop insurance, it has effectively become cheaper and cheaper over time. And more Indians are getting covered. More and more farmers are getting covered, to be specific. And the premiums have either been stagnant or they've reduced. And that's the beauty of free market economics. It's done its magic in this case. So, I think the only example I can think of is telecom. Now, telecom tariffs have again declined over time. I think a phone is, your mobile bill is more affordable today than it was in 1996.
Agreed.
It was an absolute, if somebody called, you would stare at that number and say, oh God, should I answer this or not?
Even incomings were charged.
Even incomings were charged, right? So I think maybe it's not the right metric in my opinion. But can we do more? Definitely we can do more. Definitely we can do more. And I think the state, again, to be fair, has enabled it. There are these government yojanas on Swasthya Bima and Fasal Bima, wherein the state's been partnering, has been encouraging coverage and asking private insurers and public insurers also to quit.
Okay.
So I think it's a great example of public-private partnership in some sense. And frankly, I think the figures are far in excess of what premiums seem to suggest. Unfortunately, we don't have that data readily available, but intuitively it does seem so based on what's happened. It's definitely happened. Coverage has definitely improved to a greater extent than what this ratio suggests because of the reasons I mentioned.
I read AI as a vision that by 2047, they want to make sure that there's insurance for every Indian.
Yeah.
Do you think your industry is ready to make this aspiration a reality? What are the steps that you guys are taking to make this a reality?
So what IRD has done is that they had come up with what they call the Bima Trinity. Bima Vahak, Bima Vistar, and Bima Sugam. So they have tried to democratize access, make access easier, make sure there's intimidation which is at scale and which can deliver to the person in the last panchayat or in the last mofussil town. See, some of these initiatives will take time. So if you're going to ask me that, say that that if the percentage of people covered in India are about 30-35%, is it going to go 100%? And by that rate, I'm going to increase by 3-4% every year. That won't happen. But all of these things have a hockey stick.
Okay.
Now, when UPI first came in India, I mean, that what the immediate reaction on UPI, even in the parliament, you remember the debate was quite animated where people felt that nobody's going to use it. But over time, look at digital payments. I mean, they've gone to the roof. The fact is, even a cutting check comes through a UPI payment.
Correct.
So I think these things will take time. You may not see much traction immediately, and in that sense, it'll disappoint people who have that expectation. But I think it's a wrong expectation to have. But I think, like what the government did that time, what they call setting up the digital tracks, I think they have set up the tracks here. I think the train will come, and it will go fast. But it'll take time.
Are there any fundamental changes that are required in this journey to be more faster?
I think one of the things which kind of puzzle me is that the number of life and general insurance companies we have in India is about 60-65. It's the same number of companies we have in Dubai. And the number of insurance companies in comparable markets is by a factor of 10 or 20. So they're 500,000.
Yeah.
So I do suspect there's room for a lot more players. This is a tricky one again, and this is where the question of regulatory capacity again comes in. You don't want a situation like you have had with cooperative banks, that that you suddenly expand the banking system, give a lot of licenses, and the cooperative banks, some of them unfortunately end up being misgoverned. And I mean, we all know about it. I mean, we all know about the scams and what's happened. You obviously don't want that in insurance. So somewhere regulatory capacity which is built to make sure that we get the right kind of people, the right kind of insurance, the right side kind of oversight, and we expand the numbers. I think that could, in some sense, ensure our vision of getting to insurance for all by 2047. But I do think the number of providers are inadequate today.
You think there's more room?
Of course. I mean, I think Singapore has more insurers than we have. It's an island. I mean, you look at some of the European companies, they all have over 300-400. So I think for 1.5 billion people, 60, and for Dubai, again 60. I mean, that's not a debate at all. But again, we don't want a situation when some of these companies go under. So there has to be regulatory capacity.
You look at AI, you look at Insurtech, you look at wearables. Do you think these technologies are going to disrupt the industry? Have they already started doing so? What's your take on this?
Again, I mean, I think a lot of companies, including ours, offer wellness. I think there's a lot of excitement when people sign up for wellness. In terms of adoption, it's not much, to be honest. I mean, this I hear from all CEOs that, I mean, they do privately tell you that by give these wellness features, people don't really use it. But I do have a general hypothesis that I think over a period of time, what you're insuring is a hybrid human being. Now, this might sound like fantasy in the future, but I think that given that that you have your AirPods and you have your smartwatch and what have you, and you have a sugar monitoring device and what, I think eventually, we'll have devices permanently embedded in our bodies. It's a matter of a couple of decades.
Right.
We look at what Musk has done with the neural link and the fact that with your thoughts that you can control a computer or machine. In the Chinese, for example, have made tremendous progress there as well. So I do think that in future you're changing the nature of insurance. You're insuring a hybrid or a bionic person.
Yeah.
In my opinion. In the last AGM at Warren Buffett was asked that what's going to be the future of insurance when there are going to be autonomous cars and there are no drivers? Um, I think I remember what he said. I mean, he said something very interesting. He said it does not matter. He said somebody has to get insured. The liability has to move from the driver to the manufacturer then.
Hmm.
So insurance in nature will change, but its requirement is not going to
It's not
go
gonna
because
change.
it's not as if that
Well said.
you're going to take away any uncertainty from anyone's life. It's going to stay here.
Anup, you, like every other leader in your shoes, you would always be at the forefront of being at the crossroad where you have to make decisions where you either make business sense or you take people by your stride while you make business sense. Not making business sense is not a question in your shoes. What do you do to ensure that your stakeholder expectations are met while keeping your people's interests intact?
It's not an easy. I don't have an elegant answer for this. It's never easy, and normally, you know, not normally, but in a lot of cases, these could be at odds. But I think one principle I've learned over time is to make sure that your business model is such that it doesn't expose your people to that uncertainty risk. So, couple of things I try and underwrite in case there's a risky thing that we are doing, is there's an experiment we are making. I wouldn't want people to pay a price if the experiment doesn't go well. Now,
Right.
it could succeed, it could fail, but it's not the fault of that particular individual. I don't think it's fair to abandon the employees just because you had this grand idea, it didn't work out. So that's something, as a principle, that's something which I never put. Secondly, I mean, in this very same company, we have been through cost optimization exercise, but we never asked anyone to leave. So what we did was we retrained and repurposed people for other roles. So normally the way we deal with this is to make sure that you stop hiring. There's nothing to say that somebody in finance can't do sales, somebody in sales can't do underwriting. Nobody is a wrong fit. They are not just ready because you have not trained them appropriately. Of course, there's this question of fitment in terms of the attitude you carry. Somebody like me earlier in my life, if I had to give her a desk job, I probably would have struggled. But again, it's the organization's responsibility to make sure that somebody gets a right alternate fit. So we normally, we work at headcount, which is about maybe 5-6% lower than what is optimized or optimum. And we never ask people to go. We just repurpose them as a principle. And I believe everyone can be trained, retrained, and found a space. We are a large organization with 3,000 plus people. So I don't see any reason why we can't take care of people's interests.
Would your crowd call you a people-centric leader?
So what I'm particularly proud about is that we've been certified as a great place to work every year for the last 6-7 years. We've been voted as the number one company in the industry to work for by employees. I think a large part of the credit goes to the management team for having driven that culture down the line. So I don't know what people would say, but then when there's some sense of an audit, or when you have institutions which come and take feedback from people to surveys, etc., what comes out strongly is that we have a very strong employee proposition.
Sure.
And I would like to believe it's true.
I'll put a hypothetical scenario. Your team gives you incomplete information for a decision that needs to be made on an urgent basis. In such a scenario, what would be your decision-making framework?
So is the decision is given incomplete willfully, or is it just accidental?
Accidental.
That's accidental. Now, there are two ways. One is that, I feel that the information, is incomplete. I intuitively understand it's incomplete. Then I have to ask more questions or find other sources of finding information.
Sure.
Other is that, the decision is incomplete, and it's incomplete because of poor homework. Then I would fix accountability. The person has to take responsibility. I think one of the things I believe is that a person should not make the same mistake 2 times. You made it once, fine, make a new mistake. For God's sake, don't make the same mistake again. गलती से हो गया तो ठीक है यार. I mean, it happens. I mean, even I'm sure that I made more mistakes. I've got more things wrong in my life than right. So if somebody's come to me, has given me information which is incomplete or inaccurate, if it's a genuine mistake, I think I have to give feedback and say that boss, not happy with the homework you have done. आगे से देख लेना. And I think you just leave it there. But if it's willfully done, then obviously, I mean, it's a question of intent and integrity.
But irrespective of the fact how it's done and what happened, if the information is incomplete, you still have a scenario where you got to take a decision because it's urgent matter, right? I'm trying to get more of from a CEO school standpoint as a learning, right? Because such kind of scenarios would always happen in any of the businesses. So people were to take inspiration from your decision-making acumen. What would you guide them? What would you do in such a scenario?
I think if it's urgent and we have inadequate data, I mean, I have no problems in reaching out to other people in my industry who might have faced a similar situation and ask them for advice. Thankfully, I have people I can lean on, and I believe that the other people also can lean on me for whatever experience we've been fortunate to have. And even then, if it is, then you just go with it. Yeah, I mean, see, I think one of the things which is important to calculate is that what is the cost of a poor decision? What's the cost of failure? And if the cost of a poor decision is, say, hypothetically 1 crore, 2 crores, go with it. The cost of the poor decision is going to be 500 crores. You're better off, saying that it's urgent, I can't do it. If it means that I suffer because of that, so be it. Finally, boils down to the cost of a poor decision. What could be. So, for instance, in case I have to write a very large risk, which is, say, beyond my balance sheet, I think there are two questions I have to ask. Do I understand the risk? Even if I understand the risk, can I afford the risk? And if the answer to both aren't yes, then you don't take the decision. You just don't. You just say that you're not doing this.
So count on your peer groups. And obviously, to a lot of extent, you would say count on your own experience. Does gut play a role?
Gut does play a role. It does play a role, especially if it's telling you that something could go wrong.
Okay.
Not so much when you think that something. I mean, I don't like to go with the gut when I think that it's going to go right, because if it's going to go wrong, I definitely want to check it again. But then again, it boils down to just these two things here. I mean, do you understand it? Can you afford it? And even if you don't understand it, but you can afford it, sometimes you want to just go with your gut or incomplete information or what people are saying, or go with the popular sentiment and say that let's go ahead and do it.
One more hypothetical scenario for others' learnings from your perspective. Let's say you are a leader leading a company where you have short-term goals, which has shareholder expectations that at times are not aligned to your company's long-term objectives and goals. How would you maneuver through that phase to make sure you put the right balance as a leader vis-a-vis taking either side?
So, I think, look, I mean, there's no running away from the fact that, that every CEO will have short-term goals and long-term goals. I mean, every company will have. And if you're a listed company, for instance, you have to deliver results every quarter at the same time built for the long term. It is not an either-or situation, it's an and situation. You have to deliver. And I think it's important for the CEO to be able to communicate what the challenges are to the shareholders, to the board, to the other stakeholders. So recently, when I was traveling through Argentina, you have Javier Milei, who's the president, and he won because he told people that you vote for me, it's going to be very painful for a few years, but I'll set the country right. Inflation before he took over was 270%. Right now it's 40, still high, but he's gotten down from 270 to 40. I spoke to people there. They said he was honest. He said this is going to be painful, and but then he said, and when I spoke to people, they said that's the reason we voted for him, because he was honest enough to say it's going to be painful. We're willing to take that pain. I think what is important is to communicate that to the employees and everyone. And if there's inconsistent in your strategy, I think you have to communicate that, saying that, yes, we find this widely inconsistent.
Right.
And then we say that, that there's a long-term goal, but a short-term goal is this. There is inconsistency, there is ambiguity, there is contradiction. But we probably have to deliver both. We have to find a way out to do it. And I think you have to be honest. And I think when you're honest enough to say that, I think people do rally around and cooperate and say that, fine, let's try and figure this way out. But, Sunny, it is not hypothetical because ye roz hota hai. It'll always be the case. You also have to live to fight another day. Na? If you don't deliver the short term, you'll not survive also. Even though in the long term, something else could, some other strategy could pay off. But then you have to live for today.
It's an interesting perspective.
I mean, it's the same true for you too, right? I mean, you might have to do things in the short term so that your long term is also secure.
So judgment's call.
It's I wouldn't say the judgment call. I think you just have no choice, but you have to do the tyranny of the and here. You have to do both here. Karna padega. And sometimes when you're sacrificing one for the other for whatever reason, I think you have to communicate clearly that this is what it means, and then communicate that clearly.
Communication is the key.
Is the key, and say that this is what we want to do.
Your company, Generali Central, is positioned as trust first, not the cheapest in the industry. You like to agree with that?
Absolutely.
Now, with that kind of a positioning, how do you cascade that in the culture of thousands of people who work for you?
See, fundamentally, we all buy into the fact that, that eventually what you're selling is a promise. And then a certain percentage of the company, of our customers will call in that promise at some date. At that point in time, how do you want to be treated? How would you want you yourself to be treated? How would you want your family or friends to be treated? I think we have socialized this, and it's a debate we have had many times internally. A lot of times, we have pushback from people saying that can we make the product cheaper? I said I can make it cheaper, but I can't deliver the same experience which I would like to deliver to the customer. I wouldn't want the customer to wait for an additional day or two to get discharged. I wouldn't want the car to be in the garage for an extra day or two because we have issues with the larger environment or the ecosystem. And every single time they've come back and told me that no, let's stick to a core promise. Because I think eventually, people in the organization understand what's the right thing to do. What's the point of selling a product 20% cheaper when you can't deliver the promise fully? What is the point? And I'm very happy to share with you that for a lot of our customers, they actually have mails from them. I'm on LinkedIn, people have DM'd me saying that I know that you're 25% more expensive, but then, my friends have had a great experience, my family's had a great experience, I'm going to stick with you. And, I had to forward it to my customer service team because sometimes they also get calls saying that why are you so expensive?
Yeah.
But I think people intuitively realize that, and instinctively realize that rather, that, there's the right thing. Look, a certain level of service comes at a certain level of price. A promise does cost something.
Sure.
And I do believe it's socialized to your question. Even our distribution partners, channel partners, we have a significant share wherever we are present, and then they buy into our philosophy.
Central Bank of India partnership. This is huge with the kind of outreach and the pan-India presence that the entity has. Now, when you look at that from a perspective, how does this change your game?
So it's got 4,500 branches, right? So it suddenly improves your penetration and your access to a lot of cities within India. So one of the challenges we have is that when you want to deliver services or products to smaller towns, the cost of distribution ends up being very high. Simply because it's far away, you have a person, the person's productivity is not as much as one would like. Plus, there's this cost of a physical infrastructure, which is not commensurate with the volume you might generate because the potential of that market is limited.
Right.
So our central bank solves that problem. So it makes the cost of delivery much cheaper for us. So in that sense, it's huge because then suddenly opens up markets which we were not able to service as cheaply as we would have liked to.
So your reach has exponentially...
Reach has gone, and then affordability also.
Affordability as well.
Has also gone.
You would have many employees watching us today, your own employees. And what would be your message to them through this forum, especially for those who aspire to be in leadership roles tomorrow?
I think just do your best every single day. You will get opportunities. Life gives enough opportunities to make good, rather to make or screw up. I mean, you get both. I mean, and that's it. I mean, you can't really plan beyond a point. Look, I mean, I was very honest with you in the beginning that I really didn't plan my life or career. I didn't imagine the way it would turn out. I just wanted to do what I like doing, and I've done my best every single day. I've tried to do my best every single day. I think based on my own career or my experience, that's the only advice I can give. And the other thing is that maybe just have a healthy sense of curiosity. Read what's not related to your domain, because what's not related to your domain will add more value to you than what you read within your domain. Because in your domain, incrementally, what you learn or what knowledge you get is going to be far lower than if you read out of your domain. And you'll be surprised at the kind of correlation things you learn, which are lateral in nature, have on what you're doing today. Massive.
I've spoken with a lot of people in your stature in different organizations. One thing that I find as a commonality are leaders such as you are driven by values. People keep themselves well embedded within certain values that they would have adopted to, and they live by those principles and values. Give me one value that you would never compromise on as a leader, irrespective of whatever happens. What would that one value be?
Fairness.
Fairness. Because you think fairness is the non-negotiable part of the game?
It is. That's the one thing.
Fairness towards your employees, towards your customers, or for
Everyone.
everybody involved.
Your shareholders, everyone.
When you go to sleep at night as a decision maker, I'm only talking to you as a decision maker, not as a family man or anything else, right? But as a decision maker, when you go to sleep at night, do you feel satisfied that you didn't done enough for your shareholders, enough for your employees, enough for your customers?
So I would say, Sunny, that I would say that I've done the best we could have, and we have tried to do the right thing. You know, I don't know whether it's enough, because whatever you do is never going to be enough. You know?
But are you at peace that you?
I'm at peace that we have tried to do the right thing.
Right.
And then we have tried to do our best and the right thing every single time.
How would you define yourself as a leader?
I think I like people. I like dealing with people. I genuinely enjoy people, interacting with them. I think when people do well, they are successful, I'm genuinely happy for them. I really am. I do celebrate other people's success. Otherwise, honestly, I'm an accidental leader. Yeah, I mean, I didn't imagine that. I didn't imagine this is how my life will turn out. इतना मैंने सोचा नहीं था, to be honest, because I think life just happened. So
the more I'm trying to understand you, and as we are having this conversation, my reading about you is that you are beyond just business metrics. I think you are a purpose-driven individual. Is that assumption correct?
So again, it's the same thing. I just want to make sure that you're doing what is right, what is principally right every single day. I would be very happy in case people say that, that the organizations I've worked for or I've been able to influence did what was right, did what was fair, did what was appropriate. And I'm happy with that. I think that by itself leads to great outcomes, in my opinion. And obviously, I mean, not for a minute I'm suggesting that financial success or strategy and what you do is not important. It is bloody important. वो सब नहीं करोगे. If your organization is not financially successful, ये सब करके क्या करोगे? I mean, you can't. I mean, your fairness has to also be to your shareholders. And in case you're not financially successful in the marketplace, you can't do the other things you're doing in the first place. I mean, you can't do what we are doing for your community, for the differently able, for the shareholders, for the customers, your innovation, your disruption, experiments which you believe will have a positive impact. You can't do all that. But yeah, I just want people to go back saying that we had a heart in the right place, and then we had a larger purpose in that sense, that it's just about doing good and doing the right thing.
Does the fact that you hold a powerful position with one of the large insurance brand companies in India bring that additional pressure on your shoulders, not just towards your company, but towards the industry at large? Do you feel that pressure at times?
I'll be lying if I say I don't feel the pressure, because I mean it is at the end of the day a high pressure role. So of course I do, and a lot of people say that that they're able to soak in the pressure, and then. But I do. I mean, I do. Of course, I do. I mean, I do worry with every single policy change, every single regulation, every single direction the market takes. If the black swan events like COVID, for example, how
Yeah.
to deal with it, how to make sure that the employees are safe and secure. I think the fact is you're finally responsible for a lot of customers, for a lot of employees. We have over 4 crore customers today. I mean, obviously, I mean, there's some sense of there's this pressure of responsibility, which is obviously there.
Let's talk about future now.
Hmm.
Generali Central, in this new journey that you guys have taken, is positioned to be one of the finest brands in India in your space. Now, as that happens, and you can be honest with me, what is your vision as a leader leading this pack of how you would want your company to be known 10 years from now?
That whatever promises we make, we keep.
Do you think you're going to accelerate towards a digital journey, or are you going to back up on the trust first values that you have inherited so far?
So I don't think they're at odds with each other. I mean, you can be digital player and you can build trust. For example, 100% of the policies we issue are digital. So there's digitization which has happened.
Yeah.
I think, however, the interaction with the customer and the company mostly is through intermediation. It's not so much that the customer goes online and buys. But I think that's an improving or an increasing number too. So there'll obviously be more and more people who will buy online in that sense digitally. But I think we can eventually, yeah, and this is a discussion I have with my own. I was having this discussion yesterday with the marketing team. I said, आप कितना भी बोल लो कि हम लोग trustworthy है, ये है, वो है, जो कुछ भी आप बोल लो. The fact is, finally, why should a customer believe it? Unless वो खुद experience ना दे. When this moment of truth is जब उन्होंने claim किया है, उस समय क्या होता है? अब जितना भी बोल लो कि मैं इतना trustworthy हूँ, मैं इतना यूँ हूँ, but why should there be any believability? So, of course, our communication to everyone, including employees, is that we stand for trust and innovation. But eventually, that has to be matched by, what we deliver. Otherwise, it has no credibility. Eventually, they'll say, "बोलते कुछ है, करते कुछ और है."
When you look at this industry 10 years from now, and you see this in every industry, right? That it's often said that the largest companies of the future are not being formed yet.
Yeah.
So there will be disruptors, there will be challengers. Do you think you as a leader are positioning your company to make sure that you are next gen, you continue to accelerate, you are open to change, your modus operandi, to be relevant and to strive in changing times? And do you see that much amount of disruption happening in your industry over the next 10 years to begin with?
I think the core of the industry will stay the same. Core as in terms of what the industry stands for. A lot of things might change in terms of what you're insuring, how we are insuring, who we are insuring in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. I think we overestimate what could happen in 5, 10 years. We underestimate what could happen in 20. I think that's really the classic case, right? But I think the core of the industry, what it stands for, is to protect you from uncertainty and deliver a promise when you really need it will remain the same.
Yeah.
Obviously, the medium and the mode at which you operate, and how you get your proposition to the customer, or even the nature of the proposition, that will obviously undergo change, and you have to keep up with the times. So, some of the innovation we have in our company is driven by what we can do for society, social, which we spoke about earlier. Some of the other things, for example, products like do-it-yourself insurance is a product that we have wherein we say that you create your own features because why should you pay for features you may not need. For example, you may don't want a maternity coverage, for example.
That's interesting. So you allow modulations to happen.
Yeah. So it's a modular product. So you have a base product and then you just add whatever you want. Whatever you don't want, take it off. आपको ज़रूरत नहीं है. So I think insurance will get more and more customized because I think the information on the individual will be more easily available over time, and the person can digitally say that, fine, please extract my information. Be easier to extract, right? So I think what you're looking at over the next 10 years is a deep degree of customization. Today, see, Sunny, we do some level of portfolio management. मेल है 35 साल का है नॉन स्मोकर है इसका लगभग ये प्रीमियम होगा दूसरा कोई है इसका ये प्रीमियम है किसी का ये और जब गाड़ी की बात आती है इट्स अ पर्टिकुलर पोर्टफोलियो हम बोलते हैं कि ये पोर्टफोलियो है इसके लिए ये पैसे हो गया वी आर नॉट कस्टमाइज्ड रियली बट आई थिंक दैट विल रेडिकली चेंज or drastically change.
You bringing in a lot of innovation in the kind of your products that you are bringing out, right? Do you see a competition looking at you as a change maker or as a disruptor? Do you believe that your company has become a trendsetter in your own way with others to follow?
So where I think we clearly are, I like to believe, which is also borne by external validation, is that we are a gold standard as far as I mean, as an employer, I believe we are the gold standard. So I think there definitely, I would say that we lead the pack. As far as innovation is concerned, I think a lot of companies are doing a lot of things. I think we bring that mindset to a greater degree probably every single day simply because of the way the organization is structured, wherein the organization get built down up rather than up down, rather than top down. So I think that's a change, but that's again got to do with what we are as an employer. So I would say that definitely there, and I think over a period of time that will have a greater and greater bearing of we being the benchmark or the disruptor in a lot of other areas, because finally the only tangible thing we have is people here. There's nothing else.
I'm going to ask you your perspective. Give me one-liners on each of this, okay?
Okay.
Money.
Important. Very important. Second only to health, maybe. Health, knowledge, empathy. I think these things are important. Money gives you the power, and people don't understand this. Money gives you the power to a greater extent, shape the environment for the better around you. It gives you that huge ability. So money is not a bad thing. It's an important thing. Be it as a nation, be it as a community, be it as a family, as an individual. You need that power of money. Life is short, even if you live long. So live it.
Career.
Will happen. Just do your best every day.
And finally, insurance.
So let me give you a movie reference. You have seen Andaz Apna Apna?
Yeah.
You remember Crime Master Gogo? So have it, because Crime Master Gogo will come for you wherever you go. So there'll be events and incidents in your life which will surprise you, and you need insurance for that. I mean, and frankly, in my life, I've realized that besides health, term, car, travel, I've seen things go wrong. And I think for most of those things, insurance was available and people didn't take it.
Interesting. So, Anup, I must say this on camera because I like bold and open and honest conversations, but you or your company hasn't paid me for endorsing you. But at the same time, the biggest purpose of this show is to make sure that we extract value from leaders that can potentially inspire others to be the same. I had the privilege of being in touch and work closely with a lot of peers in your industry, if I put it that way. What I observed today is gold class, not because of the way you are as a leader, but my true observation beneath our conversation has been that you are somebody who makes an extremely rare mix of a people-centric leader who's innovative, who is disruptive, not afraid of challenges, willing to put everything that's required to make things happen, but at the same time being extremely fair. So that makes you a unique leader in your industry. As we come to the end of our conversation for today's episode, I do believe that India and the industry that you belong need more leaders like you. You guys can actually transform, because insurance is a life need. Whether you're talking life, whether you're talking health, whether you're talking any other insurance, it's no longer a privilege. It's the need of the hour. And anything that leaders like you can do to disrupt, it has a larger purpose in our society. So I wish you all the best. I wish your company all the best and continued success. And it was my pleasure hosting you today.
Thank you so much. I think you've been very kind, and frankly, a lot of the praise is undeserved. And a lot of what the company is today and what I am as an individual, it's also owed to people who have shaped my career and my life and my values and my outlook. So I'm very grateful for the opportunities other organizations, other leaders have given me. Even within this organization, I came here in 2019, and this organization has been in India since 2008. Generali has been here since 2008. And, a lot of credit for having taken the organization so far goes to a lot of past, of course, the present employees, but also the past employees for having built a solid foundation for us to build on. So a lot of gratitude to a lot of people is in order.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Sunny. Thank you so much.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that was Anup Rau, who clearly gave us a message in a very subtle manner. While this was an encyclopedia of our conversation around his industry, you can be a purpose-driven, people-centric leader, even in an industry that demands hardcore sales and is number-driven. And that's a great inspiration all of us can take away from today's conversation, in addition to everything that he had to offer to us. Please continue to subscribe so that you are able to see more such conversations in future. Until then, this is me signing off. Thank you so much.